listen up. Y'all, it's the queen of automation, Megan Donnelly, here to give you inspiration. Founders and business owners gather round. I'ma show you how to build systems that'll astound. Streamline your processes, no need for...
Hey everyone, welcome back to Chronically Automated, the show that talks all about smart systems for messy realities. I'm your host, Megan Donnelly.
And I'm your co-host, Anthony Labosco.
We did it! Everyone drop it in the comments if you like our new intro. I'm just kidding. We're going to do that every week now. What are we talking about today, Anthony? What are we talking about? Wasting hours, right? Calendaring, scheduling issues, right? That's where we're... This is like a really great topic for us because we do this all the time. Anthony and I go back and forth like all week long, every week. And we're like, wait, we need to move this meeting. And can you help? No, can we push it? And no, we can't move it. We're not pushing it. We're not doing this. And I'm sure it happens to all of you as well. Scheduling issues, distractions. Like if you're not using Calendly or some sort of like automated scheduler, I don't know how you live your life because it is a godsend. And being able to connect all of my calendars, personal and work and anything else. I have like a family activities calendar for all the kids. They put their stuff on it, and then so I have that one, my personal calendar, and then my work calendars. They're all connected in one place so that I don't ever get double booked. And I still get double booked. Like shit happens. How about you? Like, does that happen to you? Like, you still, because I know you reach out to me at least once a week and you're like, I think I have to push back our meeting. And then you're like, oh, no, I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? So in the data life of a person that handles a tech agency, sales agency, right? I have multiple calendars. And then on top of that, like you said, I have a cozy calendar that is for my family and everything like that. And that is number one, because God forbid if I miss something there, that's not good.
You have to live with those people.
Yes. And, not only that, but it's definitely not easy to do, but it is easy to do when you're able to aggregate everything and streamline all these calendars into one place. And that's what I love about what we're going to help.
I feel like if people aren't doing that in this day and age, it's like, well, you guys got to catch up because like this is something that needs to happen. We are building lifestyles, right? Like we're all about building lifestyles, and it's less about, I don't want a job, I don't want a career, I want a lifestyle that I love. And that includes working and not working. And one of the biggest things, like Anthony said, family, friends, they come first, right? Like that stuff is up here all the time as it should be. And then the work stuff comes down, like trickles down underneath. And, unfortunately, like this podcast probably gets pushed to the bottom, and we'll eventually start prioritizing. Like we've got a set date that we're recording these things and having these conversations, and I think it's only going to get better as time goes on. But it's really hard when you're a solo entrepreneur juggling schedules. Like it's nearly impossible. Like if you have teenagers like we do, and they're in sports or doing any extracurricular activities, I mean, forget it. It's like for the school year, forget it. Like when summer hits, it's great because there's no schedules, but then they're home. It's a double-edged sword.
Right. I mean, I was going to say, it also, when you're talking about in my world and in our world, right, you have multiple calendars, whether it's Google, Microsoft, all around, and, getting everything to show up. And that's a problem I have sometimes, showing up a Microsoft calendar, showing up in a Google calendar. And then, all of a sudden, how do you do that? Because you're following the instructions correctly. But at the end of the day, this is what it comes down to: choreography. And I think we talked about that the last time, because really, when you think about it, if your day is choreographed, everything works.
And time blocking things efficiently, and we'll drop this in the show notes. I have this amazing video that blew up on YouTube. It went viral, right? Like it's got over 44,000 views, and comments are crazy. Who knew that this was going to happen? Because I didn't realize that what we're talking about right now was such a such a topic. Like, I thought, well, this day and age, everybody's automating this stuff. Like, I threw up a video, this was a few years ago, about how to connect your Google calendars. Oh my God, this thing took off overnight, and then all of a sudden it just it just blew up crazy. And so we'll drop that in here because I want you guys to watch it. You can have, I mean, I had like 7 calendars at that time. I don't even know why, because I'm like this serial entrepreneur and I always like thinking of an idea. Oh, and then I start a Shopify store and I do all this crazy, stupid shit that I shouldn't do. Focus. But I had so many calendars and I kept, going back and forth between all the tabs. Tabs this, tab this, or tab. I was like, oh my God, this is really stupid. There has to be a better way. And so what does the Queen of Automation do? She goes and she researches, like, there has to be a way to automate this or sync it or something. Sure as shit there was. And I went out and figured it out. And then I made a video out of it. And now everybody's like, oh my God, this is a lifesaver. Like, even if you have 2 calendars, you've got your personal calendar, you've got your work calendar. Everybody's using Google. And they're both in Google. You still have to open them up separately. No, you don't. We can just merge them together. And you can do the same thing with your inboxes, which is even cooler. So you can open up Google once, and you can have 2, a personal calendar and a work calendar, and your personal inbox and your work inbox all in one Google account if you wanted to. Now, I personally like to keep my email separate because that would just be too much of a hassle. But I do have multiple work emails and they're all in one. And so like my personal one is over here just because I feel like if you have to be really diligent enough to like check where you're sending the emails from and stuff like that, because you have to actually change the brands. And so like if that's going to be too confusing, then don't do that because it will.
You are speaking my language, Megan. You are speaking my language. So I'm really excited about this. Oh, and I love your glass. What?
Yes. Okay. So this is funny. So my daughter you'll love this, Anthony, because my daughter buys me all these funny mugs. He's seen my coffee mugs. Like there are some that says, like I have one that says, I'm not responsible for what my face does when you talk to me, that tap thing. Those are my meeting mugs. They're really funny. But this is great. You can't really see it, but it says Chaos Coordinator. Someone who solves problems you never knew existed in ways that will blow your mind. See also Ninja, Rockstar, or Legend. It fits. And
yes.
On the back, it's even funnier. Working, unrivaled skill, passion, caring, sleep, and caffeine is 110%.
That's it. Well, I'm looking to learn something today, and let's stop wasting hours. No doubt, right? So let's look.
In DMC, what we do, and you can do this with Calendly as well, but like DMC is where we're at these days. So when Anthony first came on to DMC, which is Digital Magic CRM, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, it is an all-in-one awesome system that we own and we help people build out on because it can do so many things. But calendaring is the one thing that it does really well. And you can do all sorts of calendars, right? So people, when they think calendars, and let me actually back up for just a second. I want to preface this with, if you're new and you're just starting out, you don't need use your Google Calendar, and you can actually set this up in Google Calendars. In fact, I can even show you how to do it. Reach out to me, and I'll create a video on it, because Google has a scheduling tool now that's really good for beginners, and it syncs right into Gmail. If you are at the next step of your career, you already have a product, you already have a service, you're selling multiple things, or you're doing what Anthony does. You're doing sales for 5 or 6, maybe 7 different businesses. You're going to want something a little bit beefier. For example, this we can do like a personal calendar where it's a one-on-one booking, or in our instance, Anthony and I, we have a round robin calendar. And what that is it will book either with me or with Anthony, depending on who has the first availability. So the calendar that pops up when people go to book is showing both of our availabilities, and whoever's available at that time, then it is automatically assigns to them. All the emails come from them, all the notifications come from them, and it's all done behind the scenes. It's awesome. You can do event calendars. So you're doing a webinar, you're doing a live event, you're doing a live Zoom, there's an event calendar. There's classroom bookings. So if you want to teach, if you want to have actual like live classroom where you're teaching, it's crazy, right? Now, again, that's probably overkill for a lot of people, But if you're more established in your business, especially for like coaches and consultants, where you're going to have multiple, you're not just booking demo calendars or like 60-minute coaching calendars. You want to offer courses and stuff like that. These calendars are amazing. And I think Calendly offers a lot of that stuff too. I don't think it offers it in the free version, but there's so many ways. And if you do what Anthony was talking about before, and you choreograph, or you just write down the steps of how you want this to work, and then you talk to someone like myself or Anthony or something, and then you just build it out that way. It seems a lot more complicated than it is. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you are good with just, you have a 45-minute calendar and like that's the only calendar you're ever going to use, perfect. Do you. We're not telling you that this is for everybody. We're telling you this is what we can offer and this is what you can do. There's systems out there that will do all sorts of cool things. It doesn't mean you need it.
Of what's possible. I'm going to continue saying that. And that's really what it comes down to is, the possibilities. So whether you're an entrepreneur that has multiple different calendars or multiple different things going on, you can do it. Or like Megan said, you have one, everything is streamlined, you can do it that way. But, we are going to be talking today about.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of them out there.
Where should we start? Which one do you want to talk about first? Because I know like we do a bunch of really cool stuff. So as an example, the 3 basics. If anybody's looking for like, okay, what's just a good basic calendar setup? 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Boom, right there. There's your 3 calendars you should start with. That's your baseline. You have a 15-minute calendar for what people call coffee chats. Just a 15-minute quick, let's see if we can work together, interesting. And then the 30-minute one is just that next step where you need a little bit more time. And then the 45-minute one is usually somebody should be paying you money. That's all I'm going to say. If you are booking a call for 45 minutes or beyond, they need to pay you. That's a lot of time. An hour, for even 45 minutes or an hour, anything over an hour, you have to figure out how to monetize that because that's a good chunk of your time and it is time wasted and, that's a lot of time. Unless you're doing something like this, I guess if you're doing a recording maybe, but even then, we're still getting leads off of this. We're still talking to people. People reach out to Anthony and they want to talk about MS, or they reach out to me, they want to talk about ADHD, they want to talk about how we're doing this with the business. Like they saw the podcast episode, so it starts a conversation. So the biggest things with calendars when you're setting them up is make sure that there's a purpose for them. Okay, so when he's talking about us teaching you stuff, this is all the good stuff, right? Don't use a round robin calendar if you don't have to. The reason we use a round robin is because either one of us can do demos of DMC. Either one of us can have that first intro call, right? And it's a better customer experience if there's multiple calendars available for someone to jump on a call. So if you have that need, obviously use it. If you don't overcomplicate what you're trying to do. I'm trying to think, so the sales stuff that you do is really cool because you pretty much just go through like the 15, 30, and 45 generally, right? Like you're pretty standard.
I do, yeah. So, I have a couple of different ways that I do things, right? I mean, I'm doing a lot of outreach on my own, and then that way I'm getting people to, I am inviting people to my calendar and everything. So whether that's a 15-minute or 30-minute, that's something I will send a link to. And that way I am confident that the calendar is open at that time. And that's a key, right? Because when you have conversations with people, when I'm having conversations, whatever it is, if I'm doing DMC, if I'm doing LoboStack, my IT company, or if I'm doing, other things as well, that's really important to know that your calendar is reliable. And let me tell you something. A reliable calendar is really everything, especially when you're having those conversations. So everything that Megan is talking about, whether it's round robin or one-to-one, that is very important. But overall, if people come to my LinkedIn, and I think that's what you were asking about, that is, 15-minute, 30-minute, or 45, right? And that's really what it comes down to. And for me personally, my discovery calls
usually are 45 minutes. Well, actually, discovery calls are 30 minutes, and then I will do additional
calls after that if it makes sense. And that will be longer than 30 minutes. But,
I bet people are asking. Yeah, so I bet people are asking. So like, okay, great. Like what happens after a book calls, right? Like, so great. We got the calendars, they're all connected, they're all set up. We're rocking and rolling. So what happens after? Guess what? Automation happens after, because all of the notifications and all of the, hey, thanks for booking, all the notifications are automated. But the key to making this an even better experience is the nurturing, and that's automated as well. I promise you, it doesn't dehumanize or anything the process. I swear to God, it doesn't. People are not stupid. They know that that kind of stuff is automated. What it does do is it gives you the opportunity to give them more information about yourself. So when you're doing a discovery call, let's just take the sales process because that's what we just talked about. When you're doing a discovery call, and you only have 30 minutes to get to know somebody, and they haven't made a decision after 30 minutes, but you want, sometimes you're just not going to sell somebody right on that call, and you need more.
Well, that's
you need
not,
follow-ups,
yeah,
right?
that's
So
a lot of times that's not the goal of that, is the discovery,
Exactly.
is just to see if there's an opportunity.
The
Right.
goal is to get to know somebody and to understand if you even want to work with that person, right? Like for us, Anthony knows my personality, and he's usually doing those calls for us, for DMC and for Brandville, and he's testing the waters with these people to see if they're even a good fit, right? Because he knows who we will be a good fit with and who we won't. He knows our capabilities and what we can't do. And so he's testing those waters out. But then after that, what happens is you get an email that says, hey, it was really awesome talking to you today. I just wanted to give you a little bit more information about DMC, Brandbelt, whatever the thing is. Here's some bullet points. Here's a YouTube video. Here's a whatever. You're just giving them more information. You're backing up the conversation you just had. And if, when you're ready, book another 30-minute call with me and I can walk you through XYZ. Boom. Now you've got the booking process automated. They book a call with you. And that process is automated. So you're basically going through almost the first entire half of your what we call as a pipeline, fully automated. Obviously, the conversations are the part where that needs to be a human. Please don't throw a robot at some of those conversations. I mean, you could, but I would encourage you not to do that. Let the actual conversations be human interaction, and then automate the robot stuff behind the scenes.
So I just want to say one thing, and you are 1,000% right on this. And what I do in one of the I guess sales supporting selling that I'm doing with one of the companies as well, being a brand ambassador, going through discovery and everything like that. After the discovery meeting, what I will do is I will put my notes and I will say after, okay, well, these two things are aligned with what we just talked about. Does it make sense for us to speak in a more deep dive, a technical deep dive? So that's wonderful and that's great. And they'll say yes. I schedule that. But to Megan's point, and I'm just saying I'm using a different platform, right? And that is not automated in terms of sending the emails. So I'm sending the emails, but let me tell you something. I'm sending it from a template. And that's a template that they've written together. At least I can just cut and paste. I can send it. So to Megan's point, it's something that's very important in the sales process to do that. But more importantly, when you automate that, oh my God, that's amazing. So you're automating it, but not only from the, scheduling side, but then also on the pipeline side too, is awesome, is great. And that's something that is really, really, truly amazing. And that's something that is, and look back to the calendar, right? So when we're on the call, when we're talking and everything, we're able to bring up the calendar in DMC. We can bring it up, whether it's Google, whether it's
Calendly or whatever it is.
You're able then to bring that calendar up. And if you have multiple calendars coming in there, hopefully it's working well. You can say, yeah, 3:00 on the 10th, let's do it. And then you send that out and boom, there's nothing better than for me as a salesperson to not have to worry about actually sending emails, follow-up emails and things like that, because I am sending, Megan, I am also sending reminder emails.
Yep.
The night before and the day of.
And so those are all set. Those are all set it and forget it in DMC. Really, the cool thing too is DMC now integrates with Calendly because Calendly is so easy for people to set up. It's very, very easy, right? And one of the best things that we could have done was integrate with Calendly, which is awesome because now the Calendly emails come into the joined calendar or the combined calendar as well, and then we can run automated workflows off of that. So for right now, it's like Anthony has Microsoft, he has Gmail. I don't remember, you don't have Calendly in there, but that's right, because we got rid of his Calendly. Yeah. But we got rid of Calendly, like that wasn't being used, so we got the other
No,
one.
not yet. Maybe, no, we didn't do that with DMC, but I still have Calendly on my, listen, that's a side discussion, but as you get, right? I mean, there are many different points of failure, if you will, points of entry that you may not even realize or know. But a lot of the times I find as your business matures and as the needs of your clients, as your prospects, start to manifest, then you start to say, you know what, maybe I don't need this, or maybe I do need this more so. And in that way, that's what the flexibility of that platform like DMC is.
At least a lot of them, like, right? If you're not using DMC, that's fine. Like, if you want to just get a different CRM, that's fine. Make sure you're getting one that actually helps you and doesn't just cause you more noise, right? So what we've been trying to really work on with Anthony is all the stuff that we've talked about over the last few weeks, like notifications and forgetting to do things. And so every single touch point, we build up these really strong, strict workflows. Somebody books an appointment, they get an email. In 2 days, Anthony gets a notification that he has to do a manual task to go to LinkedIn to follow up. And plus, there's also getting an SMS message and an email. In 24 hours, Anthony gets a notification on both the phone, the desktop, at all of the places to do this, to do this. So we're notifying him, even if there are manual tasks throughout this process, we are setting up notifications so that you don't forget to do the manual tasks. So sometimes there are manual tasks, right? And that's the coolest part, is that we can send you, and not only is he going to get a notification, he's going to get, hey, this is overdue, hey, this is overdue, hey, this is overdue, hey, this is overdue, when you don't do it, which may seem like it's super obnoxious, and it is, but if you have a brain that's just going to ignore the notification and you need to, that's just the way it is. Here's 1,200 notifications in one day. You'll eventually go, oh my God, okay, I'll do it, right?
Right. And kind of bringing it back to chronically automated, right? And, everything we're talking about here is, whether or not it's DMC. I know we're talking about it a lot with DMC because we're used to it, but, whatever it is that you're using, the automation and really the calendars and just making sure that everything runs, seamlessly and everything that cuts down on stress. And for me personally, stress is not good. Stress is something, if I'm dealing with this every day and saying, oh my God, I have to send this out or I have to send that out. Oh my God. So my business is going to fall apart because, oh my God, I'm not doing this and that. I'm not hearing from clients or, I don't know if I double booked or triple booked. Sort of like manifests itself in different ways. And that's not good.
Yep, we're going to unpack that because the more stressed out you get, the less dopamine you have, right? And then it just becomes this, it feels like you're wearing this heavy weighted blanket and you're like, it's awful. Like, stress it affects everything. And when we can peel off the layers, okay, and this is not something that just happens overnight, guys, just for all of you that are listening, when we talk about all of these things, we do not expect you to go out and have a list of 50 things that you want to automate and do it all at once. Please, God, don't do that. That's going to cause you more stress because if it breaks, it's just going to cause you more stress. Don't do that. Take your list of 50 things and start with one. You have to prioritize them in the order of what causes you the most stress out of this 50. And you start, you start organizing. Yeah. But when you start to lift those things off of the weight of your shoulders, each one of those things on your list of 50, one goes away, two goes away. And you start to slowly kind of release that. You wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't have actually anything to do for an hour. Drink an extra cup of coffee, and it actually happens. It really does happen that way.
So here's the thing with me. So tomorrow I am getting my infusion. I get an infusion every 6 months for MS and called Ocrevus. I get that every 6 months. I sit in a chair and sit in a room for probably 4 or 5 hours, whatever it is. I bring my laptop, all works out great. Thankfully, knock on wood. But now with everything set up, or mostly everything set up, because we still have a lot to do, no doubt, but for the most part, knowing that there is automation in place where I can work remotely like that and not have to really, I can't call people, talk to people and stuff, can't do business. That is the ultimate, in my opinion, that is the ultimate flex, that you're then able to, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever life is throwing at you that day, or, maybe you're not feeling great or whatever it is, automation in that respect. And when you actually have your calendars and everything all set up, then you're saying, you know what, that's one thing that actually is okay in my life. So,
because calendaring is the thing that can get out of control, and it gets out of control so fast. Calendars, meetings, that shit just go. It's like a plant that like grows and festers, and just, it can. Like if you don't own it and control it, I'll tell you. Here's a funny story. So here's one way that I let this fester, because I don't know, I just like didn't pay attention. So I have 3 teenage boys, right? There's a school calendar for like when they have off for, what is it, like teacher conferences or whatever on Fridays, like all these like days off or teacher in-service days or whatever they're called. The school sends you a calendar, like the calendar is like on the website, like it's on the homepage of the freaking website, and you could download it. All I had to do was like download this, give this to my assistant, or even take 10 or 20 minutes myself and put all the shit on my calendar. Did I do that? No, of course not, because, whatever. Didn't think about it. So for 2 years, I just would like get so pissed off in here. I'm like, why do you have no school today? What do you mean you don't have school tomorrow? What are you talking about? The middle of February. Like, you just had no school. What are you talking about? It was Christmas break, was 3 weeks. And so I would get all like annoyed and irritated, killing the dopamine, like killing the cycle. And then I'm like, why am I getting, like, this is my own fault. The calendar is, like, type in the damn website. I'm not the calendar. Send it to my assistant on Slack. Please put this on my calendar. When I finally did that, because she would laugh at me. She's like, Megan, you're being stupid. Like, this is my relationship with my team is amazing, right? Like, they tell me when I'm being an idiot. They're like, why don't you send me the calendar and I'll put it on the calendar for you? And I was like, why didn't I think of that? Like, it was just one of those things where, like, oh yeah. And I did it, and I haven't had to worry about this kid's school calendar for like 2 years. Unless they add an extra day or something, but like, whatever.
So for everyone else that does not have an awesome assistant, and I actually don't, right? I mean, as much as I like to think that you're an extended part of my team, which you are, but, you're not going to do that.
I'm not doing his calendar.
I see we have a 5-step automation blueprint. What does that look like, Megan? Because you are the one that is, you are the one that really...
5-step automation blueprint for calendaring?
Yeah, I mean, basically, automation is, you're offering a 5-step automation blueprint for tackling scheduling.
Yes. All right. This is what we should just, well, first of all, we're going to share the video of how to like combine the Google calendars, because everybody out there is using Google.
Yeah.
That is step 1. All right. Let's just say you have 3. You have your personal calendar, your family personal calendar, your family activity calendar is what I call it, and then your work calendar. So we'll drop that video in there. That's 1. Combine it all into 1. Step 2 is project management of your foldering system. All right, so I have and I have a video on that as well. We'll drop that in there. I have a very strict project management style foldering system that I learned way back in the day, like right after I graduated college, like going into corporate America. You set up like, operations, clients, swipe file. A swipe file is like inspiration, right? Like you see newsletters and other like people that send really good emails. Dump it in your swipe file, a portfolio. And then under that, so then your second tier, like under operations would be payments and receipts, invoices, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so I will drop that in there as well. So then what you do is you start creating filters as emails come into your into your inbox. You start creating the folders on the side, those are your important emails. Those are the only emails that you actually need to function and that you actually give a shit about. Everything else you can leave in the inbox. I don't care. If you're one of those inbox zero freaks and then just delete it, everything else. Right? Like, who cares? I don't delete data ever because I'm that person that thinks 4 years from now, Anthony's going to be like, hey, remember in 2025 when we talked about peanuts? Oh yeah, look, I can find the email. Because I'm weird like that. I just come from a data background. You don't delete data ever. Like, bad. Anyway, so you create this folder structure and you add the filters. And I always, in the video, will show you how to do this. You move them automatically into the folders as unread. And then in the folder structure, you're going to get that little, like, in parentheses, there's 4 in this box, there's 5 in this folder, there's 6 in this, It'll show you. I am not even shitting you. And Anthony knows this because he has had the experience of having to tell me that he sent me an email. I spend 15 minutes a day on email. I open my email up. I go through every single one of the important folders, the only shit that I give a shit about. Go through each one, and then it syncs up, and then I shut it down and I ignore it. Until somebody sends me an email.
Better at this. I have to get better at this.
So but then I also tell people, like I've told Anthony, and I tell Darren and Nat, and I tell my people on my team, or even like the kids' dad and like the kids themselves. I'm like, if you send me an email that you need me to read, you have to tell me. Now, granted, I do the same thing for my personal inbox too. So stuff from the kids' school, like, different family members, like that kind of stuff, it's all filtered. So I do the same thing, but I open my personal email a lot less. Like during business hours, my personal email doesn't get opened up unless with the exception of my son who's autistic, if his teachers are sending me stuff like that, they'll send me a text message and they'll be like, hey, just sent you an important email. Because they know, because I've told them. So don't do this if you're not prepared to do this and own it. I own it because I don't hate emails. I don't want to spend my entire day in emails. And you can go out and check the statistics. It's like the average person, like business owner person, spends 4 hours a day in their email box.
I'm not surprised. I mean, so let me ask you this, Megan. So for somebody like myself that has like 5 different emails or 4 different emails, do you just use the same system for each of them?
Yep. So what I do is, again, I do the same thing I do with my calendars. All of my work emails go into one email box. One. So I have 3 work emails, right? Like 3, 4. They all go in to the one email box, and there's folders. So like the Queen of Automation podcast has its own folder, and then it has folders based, underneath that. The Digital Unicorns, Megan Donnelly, and then Brand Bill, right? Like, so it all gets dumped in. The foldering structures are all set up, and it's all right there. Like, it's still the same. People are like thinking it's overwhelming, and it could be. But you know what? Here's the other statistic that people should go out and do some research on and actually read the videos about the psychology behind multitasking, because multitasking does not exist, right? And there's this stigma out there for like ADHD people that they think we're great multitaskers because of the way our brains work. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that all day long. It takes at least 15 minutes if somebody were coming to interrupt this right now, I would literally have to pause this and get reacclimated into what we're talking about. It takes a human brain, the minimum is like 15 minutes when you get distracted from the task that you're on to get back into that task. So if you're telling me that you can do 3 things at once, and you're going to do 3 things at once really freaking well, no, you're not, because only a part of your brain is going to be focused on each one of those things. You're not giving something 100%. So this is why when we do work with clients, when I work with one-on-one clients, the big guys, right, the ones that want to come in and like rebuild their entire operations foundation, great. You are now like my focus. So we work with one client on one project, one task at a time. Because then they get 100% of my focus until that one task on their project list is done, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, until it's completed. And guess what? We work 3 to 4 times faster than any of our competitors because we focus on one thing at a time.
So bringing it back to calendars and everything like that, automating calendars. So when you're doing that, and when we're doing that, well, sort of. I know you are, but maybe not me so much. When you automate and when you automate your calendars and everything like that, and they are happening while you're focusing and everything else is turned off, that's amazing.
I don't have to worry about it. Because obviously I say one project, one task, whatever, right? So all of my task work is only in that one thing. But you still have sales calls, you still have team meetings, you still have that stuff, but it's all automated. So I don't have to put my brain power to it. This is where the power of automation shines, right? Because we're business owners, right? Like if you are down in the weeds, paying your bills, sending out invoices, sending out contracts, booking calendars, sending links, doing this, that is like work that you either throw a person at it or you automate it. That's the two things. Or you eliminate it completely, right? You hear me say this all the time. Automate, delegate, eliminate. Done. That is
So, right. That's it. So when it comes to the 5 steps, we talked about implementing a digital calendar with smart notifications. Second is syncing calendars across devices and integrating them with scheduling apps, right? And that is what Megan is going to be putting in the comments and everything like that. But then the third step is, we talked about this too.
So using a tool like Calendly to automate appointment bookings and
Yep.
everything like that for Calendly, or if you're CRM like we have, if BMC.
You know what? We'll do you one better. I'll make a video on that too. What we'll do is for the people out there that don't have any of that other stuff, we'll just make a quick. This is how you can do it with Google, right? Like everybody's on Google, and so that's why I always start there as a baseline. We should just do a Google training course and like put this all in there.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Anyway, I mean that's a really good idea. So we'll do a video, and I'll show you how to set up the Google calendaring. With the appointment setting. So they have an appointment center now. And even with Gemini, you can add some AI into it. Gemini will write emails for you and send it's super crazy. But I can do a quick video on how to do that. But we'll drop that. Yes. So then that third thing is find a tool that works that will take that off of you so you're not doing it manually. Or in person. Like if you have a VA, so this is something that's really okay, bear with me. You're not that important. All of you people out there listening to this, I'm sorry to say it, you're not that important. You're not that cool. If you have a VA and you're having trust issues and you don't want to give them access to your calendar, are you kidding me? Just give them access to your damn calendar and let them do the scheduling. Like if you're not going to spend the money on a tool and you're already spending money on a person, that person can do your calendar. And like I know people get so worried, like they're trusting and so. Oh my God, really? Just give them access. Like, let them deal with your calendar.
And what I love here, at least for me too, is when I'm having, let's say a crazy busy day of sales calls and you're going from one meeting to another and everything like that, or whatever it is. And that's a blessing, by the way, right? So no one's going to complain about that. But ideally, what you want to do, and this is step 4, is you want to be able to create buffers between appointments. When we talk about when we talk about like deep work and things like that, of course I'm like, I can do like 50 things in a half hour. And then I look at my calendar, I'm actually stressed out. I want to like run away. So, just it's okay to try it out and see what works and everything like that. And just build some time in there so you're not like,
the buffers are super important. We're almost at time, so I don't want to buffers are super important. Okay, so we got through 4, right? Or that was 3.
Number 5 is regularly review, and it, like I said, adjust your schedule to maintain balance, and that's what it comes down to.
You should regularly do this because let me just tell you what Megan did earlier this week. Somehow I do review my data and my setup often. And while I was in there clunking around, I don't know what I did, if I turned it off or whatever. So I have it set up for the Video Automation podcast, the other part of this podcast. I have it set up. I will only take 2 podcast reviews a day because it's a long time. And I have it set up so there's enough of a buffer window so that it would be like 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Nope, not on Tuesday. Smack dab right together. And I was like, And Andrea on my team, she messages me right away. She goes, what happened to Tuesday? And I was like, oh my, and again, she's like, I don't ever even look at my calendar, right? I get the notification, oh, I have a meeting. Like, I don't even like pay attention to it. And she pays attention to it more than I do, thank God. And she messages me and I was like, oh. And then, of course, yes, so we did reach out and ask, if somebody, one of them could, and they were both, I'm like, you know what? No, we're just going to have to eat it. We are just going to do it. We're going to power through. It was our own thought that the error's on us. We do it, and it works.
Want more of a yes or no sort of thing? Is there a way to automate that where you can the buffering and everything like that? Because I think a lot of us struggle with that, including myself.
Yep. It's 100% all built into the backend system settings of the calendar. Again, I turned it off, basically. I don't know what I was doing. Honestly to God, I have no idea what I did. But I didn't have the buffer set correctly. So sometimes when you reset a calendar, or when you build a new one, and I think what I was doing was I was moving, or I don't know, I moved it, and in the buffer settings, you can put 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, in between, and so I usually set it for 4 hours or 3 hours, so that the latest would be 11 o'clock, and then the next one wouldn't be able to start until 1 or 2, right? So there's a 3-hour buffer in there. Well, the buffer was 15 minutes. And so they literally, or no, but there were actually, no, I'm sorry, there wasn't even a buffer. So the whole day was open and they just booked it back to back. And so it's like I said, it was totally on me. And you know what? The biggest thing too is don't beat yourself up. This stuff's going to happen. I do this for a living and build this shit for a living. And I totally just messed up my calendar. Because I know I go in there and I monkey around with stuff. I don't know what I was changing, but sure as shit, somehow deleted the buffer, and I was like, okay.
When you are, at least for me and everything, I mean, chronically automated, these are things that I have to figure out quickly and get it together because, listen, we're sending stuff out on the sales side, and then all of a sudden, what if all that stuff comes back in and everyone wants a meeting? And then it's like, oh, this is wonderful, but it's really not. In that respect. So,
and you don't want to spend, the other thing too is I highly recommend, okay, so you pick days. Tuesdays and Thursdays are meeting days or whatever. You know what? It is absolutely 100% okay to not have Monday through Friday, even if you're a salesperson. Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, book any time. No! Don't do that. Again, remember, the goal is to build a lifestyle that you love, not a job. Okay, so that means, do you really want to just talk to anybody at any time? No. Give yourself times, bucket times, so that when you I can guarantee you, if you get a 4-hour block, on a Tuesday or Thursday or whatever day it is, I don't care what day it is, you do 4 hours. You have 4 hours of meetings, right? And it's a block. You are going to get so much more work done and feel so much better when you have these specific times, because you're going to get in the zone. Okay, it's meeting time, let's go, versus you have 2 meetings here, and then you have this, and then you have a couple meetings over here, and then you've got 50 meetings throughout the week, and they're all over the place. Remember what I said about trying to get back on track? That's just going to screw everything up. So I highly suggest you do blocks. Even if you do 2 or 3 blocks, and then 2 or 3 blocks, and it can be on 3 days, it can be on 4 days, it doesn't matter, but don't just open your calendar up and let somebody schedule whatever the fuck they want. Now, I'm going to preface this with, you've got a really big client, you've got I don't know, Jeff Bezos. You're gonna, right? You've got the client of all clients that you have to talk to. You make some exceptions, you open a block up, or you just schedule over whatever you have, right? You move some stuff around. But you have to be able to have a process and a system that will allow you the flexibility to do that. Anthony and I do this all the time. You can literally just drag and drop. I drag and drop stuff all the time and make room for the people that I need to make room for. Because guess what? We get to choose who we want to talk to, who we want to work with, who's a priority, right? Anthony, Darren, Nat, Andrea, they are my priority. They are my people. They are my inner circle. Sorry, everybody else. Love you all. But, my priority is to keep the people who, they're trusting me with their operations. They're my priority. I keep them happy. They keep me happy. It's just a win-win situation all around. Now, obviously, our customers mean a lot to us. So we do move things around for them.
Well, I have to, my priority right now are my children. So I actually do have to run out because I have a booking at 4:30 Eastern time right now, but I have to go out and drive my daughter somewhere. So again, this is, I guess, what you would call the buffer time.
Buffer time, that's right. So remember, everybody, this has been a really fantastic conversation, and we're gonna drop all those really cool videos in there, and I'm gonna even make a note. Yes, I still use sticky notes to make that video about calendaring on Google. In fact, I'll probably just do it right now since I have it up and we're doing the thing. That's it, everybody. That is a wrap. Remember, technology and operations are only as good as when they work. Yeah, right? Isn't that what I say? Technology and operations are only good when they work. Chronically automated, we're here to help anybody who's feeling the stress of neurodiversity and maybe just thinks a little differently than the rest of us in the world and are dealing with some setbacks in their lives. It's possible to be a business owner. It is possible to show up as well as anybody who's not dealing with these setbacks, if not better. Use your superpowers.
Technology
Yes.
evens the playing field, and anything
Evens the playing field.
is possible.
Anything is possible. All right, everybody. See you next week. Bye.